After this, we will have the speech from our honorable speakers. And I'm so excited to inform you about our speakers. Without further ado, let me introduce our speaker now. The first speaker of today's is Mrs. Vitlaiwan Kaje, who is a translator, the lecturer at Department of English, Faculty of Liberal Arts, Fatani University, MA in Teaching English as Foreign Language. The next speaker is Mr. Nakhon Ibrahim, who is a Bachelor of Political Science, Graduate Diploma in Teaching Islamic Studies at Yala Islamic University, Master of Administration, study English at Lisa M. Collins, US, and English Language Principal at Allison. And the last honorable speaker is Ms. Usma Daraman, who is an exchange student in Wisconsin, USA, a bachelor degree, anthropology and global development, study at Greener College, USA. Now she is a Teach for Talent Fellow. Without further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Tasnim Samo as a moderator for this session. Please welcome.
ครับ
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All right. Good morning. Thank you for finding time and visiting today's webinar. My name is Tasnim. I am a fourth-year student of Department of Teaching English at Fatani University. And I'm responsible for the moderator of this section. This webinar is organized by Department of Teaching English under the seminar course, which is taught by teacher Mariam Banning, the head of English department. So now I will ask one question to check if you can hear or see or hear my voice. Okay, if you can see or hear my voice. So if you hear my voice, please raise your right hand. I just want to check. Okay, everyone? All right, mean you can see and hear me. Okay, great. Let's come to the point. Our today's webinar is Islamic English Innovation Model for Gen Z Teacher. First of all, I would like to mention our presenter again as our MC orator. The first is Ms. Usma Daraman, or Pizin, the owner of famous page as everyone know Dek Thai Glaiban. The second one is Mr. Nakhon Ibrahim, a manager of Muslim Pathanasat School. And the last is Ajahn Vitlaiwan Kaje, an English lecturer of Faculty of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences, Fatani University. So before we start, let me explain how you can talk to us during the webinar. So this webinar will be divided into 3 sections. Okay, the first 30 minutes is responsible for Pizin to talk about teaching English technique for Gen Z teacher. And the second 30 minutes is responsible for Nakhon to talk about integrating Islamic knowledge for developing English skill. And the last 30 minutes is responsible for Ajahn Vitlaiwan to talk about the applying of IT innovation, teaching and learning English in 21st century. All right. And for the second section, I will give 5 minutes to each presenters to summarize their own topic. And hello guys, if you can hear my voice, please show me your right hand. All right. Okay, you can still hear me. All right. Okay, and the end of this section is Q&A. I will give 20 minutes to everyone. Okay, if everyone who joined in this seminar, you can have the question or list it. Okay, everyone can ask the question at the end of the seminar. We will give you 20 minutes, or you want to exchange some idea is also capable. So if you have any question during the presentation, just write them to chat. We will have a short Q&A session at the end of the answer. So next is a little bit announcement from the audio section. They will show you two different sound, to tell that the time is going to finish. Okay, the first short sound like this. Yeah, this short sound is for reminding 5 minutes before ending. Yes. And okay, this sound, the long sound, for reminding that the time is already up. Okay. Okay, I think every section I already described like clearly. So now let's start the first section with Pizim. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, Pizim.
Hi, wa alaikum assalam. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
All right, are you with me now?
Yes, can you
Yes.
hear me?
I cannot hear your voice.
See. I'm gonna try.
All right, can you say something again?
Hi.
Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. All right, everyone. So hi, everyone. I'm Zim. As you all probably know me somewhere, or some of you might have even met me before, because I was in Fatani University 3 years ago. So should I start my presentation right away, Tasneem?
Yeah, actually, may I ask the question first?
Okay, yeah.
Actually, I'm very nervous to talk to you because before this, we just like contact without face to face. So now it's the first time for me. Okay, thank you for coming on this seminar. First of all, I would like to ask you about how do you teach English for students in Gen Z? Yes, please welcome, Kizzy.
All right, everyone. So I'm going to share a slide. It might not be the best slide in the world, but I think this would really help you guys understand where I'm coming from a little bit better. Okay. So before we start with the topic, let me introduce myself a little bit more. All right. So my name is Zim, and I was born in 1993. So I'm actually the end of millennial, the end of the millennial era, right? Because Gen Z starts from 1996. So one of my siblings is actually would be considered Gen Z by definition. So I was born in Thailand, but raised in several places because I went to the US the first time when I was about 16 as an exchange student, and then I also finished my bachelor degree there. Okay, so then the reason why I explained to you about this is because I'm coming from a more complicated, more global perspective when I talk about Gen Z. All right. And right now I am currently studying a master degree at Faculty of Learning Sciences and Education at Thammasat University. I'm a second year graduate student. So also learning about teaching design and things like that, similar to what you guys are probably learning right now in your Faculty of Education. But I didn't graduate from Faculty of Education. I actually graduated with a degree in anthropology, and my concentration was in global development studies. So what I'm really interested in is actually how can we improve the world, how can we work on people and make everyone developed and move forward together, right? So I graduated in 2015, about 6 years ago. So I'm not that older than you guys, not that old. And right after graduation, I joined Teach for Thailand, which is a teaching program and a leadership development program. And it's also part of a global movement. Okay, now you heard the word global twice now, right? And Teach for Thailand is part of Teach for All. And right now they're in about 40 countries. And I spent 2 years teaching in an underprivileged school in Bangkok. All right, so that's basically my teaching experience. Some of you guys are going to go into schools for your 5th year, right? And you'll be teaching for 1 year. So I'm only 1 year ahead of you if you think if we think from that perspective, okay? And then after the 2 years with Teach for Thailand, I joined Globish Academia, which is an edtech startup. So we do education technology to teach English online. And for the first 2 years, I was the manager to take care of international coaches. So I communicated with coaches around the world to teach English to Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z students online, okay? And right now, I'm working in HR, so I'm doing talent management and strategy for the company, so more of the internal part of the company. So this one-page recap is basically my experience. So what I'm going to talk about after this will be based on these experiences, okay? So the first thing that I would like you guys to do is to divide your page, your notes into 3 sections, because today we have 3 different lectures from different perspectives, right? The first half of the page, please write down the notes from the talk. Now, the second half on your right side, please write down your own ideas. So let's say I talked about something, let's say edtech. I put a keyword up on the table, right? And maybe you can write down, oh, what is edtech? What are some of the edtech companies in Thailand right now? What are some of the free options that I can use in my classroom? Something like that. And if you have any questions, put it down there in that section as well. And then after you all, like when you're done with everything, listening to everything, summarize the talks, each one of them, in your own words, with your action plan and your goals, because all these things that the speaker said would be gone in less than 24 hours if you haven't put down what you want to do with it. All right, so if we're ready, can you guys give me a thumbs up? It's you can click on participant, I think, and then you can put a thumbs up right there, or you can just do it on the camera. All right, are we ready? Yes. Cool, thank you for your cooperation. Now let's start with Gen Z. Okay, so when you see the word Gen Z, what do you think? What's the first thing that came into your mind? Please write down in the chat. A lot of people would think, Gen Z, they are kind of like millennials, but not really, not quite sure. But then all these words on this page are basically the summary of the characteristics of Gen Z, right? They're global, they understand the world more than previous generations. They're connected to their mobile phones, like it's their 33rd organ. They're very socially engaged. Right now, the majority of them are tweens, and they love pop cultures. They're early adopters. Well, I guess more like native adopters of technology. They want to become influencers of some sort. And they're worried about their futures, especially in terms of the environment, right? And social changes that's happening right now. Now, as you guys probably already know, Gen Z were born without knowing what the world is like before cell phones or the internet. they were born with, and people raised them with cell phones in their hands. And in a sense, Gen Z is actually the first generation of tech native generation. I'm actually Gen X, so millennials, right? When I was young, I think around grade 2 or grade 4, that's the first time that my family bought a computer, like an actual desktop computer at my house. Can you guys still hear me? Yes? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And then right now, growing up, like let's say grade 6 right now, they already have a cell phone, which is like a mini computer on their hands, right? But just think of the generation before them. The generation before them would have to wait until high school to get a cell phone. But these kids just got one right away when they're like 2 years old, watching YouTube already. And the internet is just like so fast. Everything is at an instant by their fingertips, right? So when you're thinking about teaching Gen Z, context is everything. You have to know the context in their life, okay? So I'm going to start with a theory that I'm not sure if you guys know this theory or not. I've been told that the listeners, the participants are from year 1 until year 4. So year 4 students might know this already, but year 1, I'm not so sure. So the theory that I'm going to talk about today is a basic education and psychology theory. Okay, and it's called Bronfenbrenner's ecological system theory. Are you guys familiar with this? Have you heard of this at all? If you have, please like write something down in the chat so that I know that you guys like have heard of it somehow. Okay, and this theory, as you can see, the child is the yolk of an egg, right? Like the innermost part of this little circle. So the system is divided into 5 layers. It starts with the micro system, then the meso system, exo system, macro system, and the chrono system. Now you don't have to remember the names. You just have to understand how these things interact with each other. Okay, so the first one, the micro systems, are basically the people, things, environments that are closely the closest to the child. Okay, so for example, in the picture you can see family, school, their peers, their religious organizations, the neighbors, their community, or even their daycare facility, the things that the child connect with every single day. These are their microsystem. Okay, and then number 2 is the meso system. This one is kind of a weird layer. It has nothing there, but it actually means the interaction between micro and exo. Okay, let's move to the exo system. Exo means out, means the outer system. The exo system means their extended family. So not their immediate, but still people who can influence their life. And then there's school board. So like the principals, the headmasters. These people are not in the classroom every day, but if they do something, things will change in the classroom. Okay, and then government agency, school services and healthcare, mass media, or even their parents' economic situation. Well, personally, I would say their parents' economic situation is actually part of the microsystem, because if the parents aren't equipped with the financial support, then the child would have a hard time learning or even like reaching the best potential that they should. Am I going too fast? Am I speaking too fast?
I think no.
No, okay.
Yeah, the participant, you can say if you cannot catch up or you don't understand.
Yeah, if you can't hear me or if you have any question, you can raise your hand. Oh, not raise your hand. You can put down the comments, and I'll I'll try to reply to you guys as much as I can. Okay, I'm just pulling up my iPad right now to see the chat section. Okay, so now let's move on to the macro system. The macro system is more of like a broader culture of attitude and ideology that they're living in. And then last but not least is the chrono system, is how everything changes through time. Okay, like all of the layers, how they change through time. Well, I actually need more time to explain this theory, but I'll just put it out there and you guys can read for yourself. Okay, but this theory views child development as a complex system of relationship, and these things affect each other. So if you want to design something to teach a child, you really have to take into consideration what's going on in their lives, right? The context that they're living in. So next, we also have to look not only into their environment, but also the interactions of the larger environment together, which in this context is the chrono system, how everything changes through time, right? So who are the most important people in a child's life? Anyone? If you have to teach a child, right, and you're like, okay, I need to involve these people, who are those people?
Student.
The students, right? But who are the most important people in the system outside of the child?
Parents.
The parents, right? So the microsystem, people in the microsystem are the ones who would be able to influence the child the most. And on the flip side, we also have to think about these people the most as well when we design learning process for the students, right? Okay, so now let's look at the inner circle for the most part. Okay, the inner circle comprised of family, school, and community. The first question that I would like you guys to keep in mind is, who are the people that are raising Gen Z students? Now, if we divide generations according to, you know, the definition, you can actually see different types of categorizations, but this is probably the most common one, and I think it's a pretty good guideline to what we should look at when we think about the context of Gen Z students. Okay, now I'm Gen Y. I was born in 1993. Gen Z was born after 1995. And right now, I think the majority of you guys are actually Gen Z as well, right? Born after 1995? Yes? Yes, okay. So if you think of your students, let's say they're 15 and under, right? So they were born in 2000,ใช่ไหม? In the 2000s. And these students were raised by Gen Y and Gen X. What does it mean for them to be raised by Gen Y and Gen X? So the values and aspirations from these Gen X and Y would be taught to Gen Z. And also, how these people perceive the technology would also be transported to Gen Z as well. So for example, let's say I have a baby, right? Look, just imagineนะยังไม่มีนะ Let's say if I have a baby, my baby would be in Gen Z or maybe Gen Alpha, which is the newest one that's coming up right now. I'm a digital entrepreneur. I work with organization, not for organization. I'm very independent, very idealist. I want my children to be who they want to be. and change the world. And I'll try my best to equip them with whatever they want. Now imagine a child growing up with parents believing in them this much, giving them all these tools like, okay, you want to be a scientist? Let's watch YouTube. You want to do this? Let's do this. Let's use these tools. So Gen Z students are highly individualized, and they want reviews, they want people to give them feedback, but at the same time they have very short attention span. The younger, the shorter the attention span. I think you guys are quite good, judging from the videos that I'm seeing on the screen right now. You guys are like writing down and everything. So yeah, the younger the students, the shorter their attention. And they also like to multitask. They like to do many things at once. And they really, really want to achieve and do better than their parents. Is that true in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's true.
Want to do better than your parents?
Especially short intention.
Yeah.
My brother is really like
Yes.
that.
Yes. And so when we design the class, or how to teach these children, you have to balance kind of between, do we want to work with what we have, or do we want to build more? Like, for example, they have short attention span, right? Should I do something short every single time that I teach? Or should I actually teach them to wait and be more patient through time? This is a question that you have to ask yourself. And it's something that you actually have to test in the classroom to see what would work best for your students. Because again, context is everything. Some of you might go out to the town in Had Yai, or even upper bigger town, and some of you might be teaching in Kampong, right? In smaller schools, and the kids are very close to nature, and their attention span might be longer. So you have to look into your students, look at the context that you're teaching in. I see that a lot of you guys have like G4, G5, G1. Does that mean the grade that you're teaching in? The students that you're teaching?
No, it's the group for presentation.
Oh, the group. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, anyway, now the Gen Z are native technology adopters, right? So when you show them new technology, they might not be excited at all. Like, hello students, today we're going to play a game online or something. They're like, okay, what game? Because they've never known the world before these games. This is just another game for them. It's just same old thing, but different face or something like that. So teachers have to be very patient, and you yourself have to be aware of what you are doing, what you are trying to achieve. You need to have very, very strong objective, strong goal of where you want to take your students to. Okay. Otherwise, every single day that you're teaching them, you would be crying and wanting to go home and be like, okay, kids these days, they're so bad. They don't respect, they're not paying attention, they're not listening. Again, think about how they grew up. They grew up with everything at their fingertips. Of course, they won't be patient as much as you do, as much as you are, right? So now you have to kind of do a trial and error and figure out what would be the best way to teach these groups that you have. Like Matayom 1/1 and Matayom 1/2 might not be learning from like the same learning strategy. Okay, so before you go in and just, you know, become this teacher, the savior of the whole class or something. You have to listen to them first and try to get to know your students first. Okay, now the second layer, the second part of this layer, right, is school and community. Do you think kids these days are connected to their school and their community? Are they proud to be part of this institution?
Yeah.
Some might.
Yeah, some.
Yeah, some might. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, people would actually fight with other schools, especially in Bangkok, right? แบบเด็กโรงเรียนนี้จะไปตีกับอีกโรงเรียนหนึ่ง or something like that because I'm เด็ก and they're เด็ก something. But nowadays, I think that's less and less because they're no longer attached to the school. They're becoming more individualized. It's more about how they can achieve and how they can go further. So now another thing that's important when we teach is also how we communicate with them. Okay, Gen Z nickname is actually Generation Me. So they want you to communicate to them, to me. Like, I want you to talk to me. I don't want you to talk to everyone the same way. Talk to me like you're talking to me. And I see that in the work class as well, because the majority of the people working with me is Gen Z as well, under 26, and they are in need of personal feedback and physical individual attention. So in the classroom, if you're working in a big classroom, make sure that you have a space to go in and look at the student one by one and see how they're doing. Or when you get homework from them, an assignment or something, you might have to write back to them one by one, not just giving them the score. They want to know why they get that score and whether it's fair compared to other people or something like that. They're not as obedient as Gen Y or Gen X. They're asking a lot of questions right now because their world has been opened up by their access to technology. Now they know that, okay, other countries don't have royal family, for example. Other countries don't have a prime minister. They have president. What's the difference between a president and a prime minister? Well, some countries have both. Why? They can do that at their fingertips. They don't need to ask you anymore. So your job isn't to be a content provider. Your job is a facilitator. You have to facilitate learning with value, with high intention and high passion. The students need to feel that you care about them. Okay, so now another thing that has happened, and this is the macro system, what's happening in the world that affects them, is actually COVID-19. The past 1.5 years has been hectic for most of us, especially educators who are teaching like Gen X and Gen Y. The COVID pandemic has changed the landscape of education forever. Now, students in kindergarten are actually learning via Zoom. I know a parent from millennials. She has a 4-year-old boy who went to an international school, And every single morning, all these little kindergarten students would be sitting in front of their phones, their mother's iPad, showing their work. Like there would be, hi, this is my homework. And then they would be explaining, presenting their work to the class and the teacher. It's changing that fast, everyone. And the students would never look the same at work, at school, at the way they socialize, at the way they connect with their family and their friends. The internet would be the first thing to, like, for them to go to. Let me ask you a question. I'm not sure if I can do a poll here. Nope, I can't do a poll here. Okay, just you guys can write down in the comment section, I guess. When you want to contact your friend, okay, how do you usually contact your friend? Press 1 if you call them, and write 2 if you send them a text message via Line or Facebook or anything. Is it 1 or 2? Okay, 2. I see 1 message. Come on, no one's gonna answer 1 at all. We have 92. มีคนตอบ 1 แล้วจ้า Okay, now we have one answer for 1. Well, as you can see, the majority is pressing 2, right? And think of students younger than us. When they want to talk to their friends, they're going to send their friends an IG story, not a message. Okay, they're going to be like, hi, do you want to go to McDonald's today? Do you want to go to Nanam Cha something today? See you at 8 if you want to come. And they send this video to 10 people. This is what's going to happen after this. And so when you design your class activities, you have to think of that. You have to take into consideration that learning behavior, that communication behavior, and see how you can integrate that into your classroom if it's possible. If the kids are too young, that might not be possible. But if you're teaching, let's say, Matayom students, students who already have cell phones, then think of how you can integrate cell phones into the classroom and making it efficient and record things via cell phone as much as you can, which I think the other 2 speakers would be talking about that. So I'm gonna skip that part and go into the other context that is happening in this world right now. Have you guys heard of this word, VUCA? VUCA. If you've heard of it, press 4. If you have never heard of it, press 5. Type down 5. 4 for yes, 5 for no. VUCA world. Okay, I see a lot of 5s now. So I'm going to start explaining, okay? So VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So if you look at x-axis, the x-axis, the horizontal axis, is how much do you know about the situation? Okay, basically you don't know. Basically you don't know right now in the world. And in the y-axis is how well can you predict the results of your action. Also, basically you don't know as well. So the world right now is really, really unique. And it didn't start from COVID, actually. It started, I would say maybe in around 2017, 2018, when the internet has just exploded and everyone's moving to Snapchat, IG, and all these social medias are trying to compete against each other. Like, for example, Netflix. What is Netflix doing? They're providing content, right? But do you know who's their number one competitor right now? It used to be Blockbuster, but now Netflix competitor is actually sleep. They don't want people to sleep because then people would move out of the platform. So the same way is with other things in the landscape for our students' life. All the social medias are trying to compete against each other in this volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, right? So number one, volatility. The volatility, what does it mean? When the world is volatile, it actually means changes happening very quickly. And the effect of that is that it's very high risk to do anything, to start anything. And it makes people feel uncertain to act upon their ideas. And because changes happen so fast, when you act on something, when you start doing something, it might go obsolete very fast. So, for example, our students in this generation, they might be struggling to start something new, but they are very quick adopters of something that someone else has created already. Okay, and with the uncertainty, it actually means that they can't predict anything about their future. And for us as teachers, when we teach our students, right, we have to think of where we want students to go, but then it's so ambiguous, it's so uncertain, and it's so complex. How do you guide your students to go where they want to go if you actually don't know what are the options out there 10 years from now, right? So my suggestion is for all the teachers to really, really understand what's going on in the world right now. It's part of your job, okay? You're not only teaching the students to be a good person, to be skillful for the world right now. You're teaching them to become part of the workforce 10 years from now. So you have to know what's going on in the world. I'll give an example of Clubhouse. Did you see how fast that happened? And Clubhouse didn't just start it like 1 month ago. It's been here for a long time. But once Elon Musk talked about it, now everyone's on Clubhouse. And what are the kids talking about? The kids are talking about how the kids are talking about how we. I'm stressed now with the time. Okay. The kids are now talking about how unfair it is that Clubhouse isn't accessible via Android. That's the kind of conversation that they were talking about. Okay, so to summarize, right now I'm only giving you the context because what I believe is the learning strategy and the teaching strategy should go together. So you have to figure out how your students learn first, okay? And what it takes for them to succeed would be 3 things. Number 1, their ability to change. Number 2, their learning agility. You have to train their brain to take in not only information, but learn how to learn very, very fast. And then the last one is to be innovative. And in this sense, I don't mean to create something new because it would be very difficult in the VUCA world that we're living in right now, right? But for them to be innovative and creative in using what they have in the context that they're in. And so how do we teach them? I would say we start with understanding their context. Then map that out with the goal that we want to take them. Okay, and then last but not least, matching the learning strategy with our teaching strategy. Okay, so I don't have time to give examples right now, but I think you guys have plenty of seniors and materials and previous lessons that your teachers can give you. But keep in mind that one of your job is to understand what is going on in the world and in your students' life. Okay, I guess that's all for now from me. Thank you so much for listening. ขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you very much to Pizine. Yes, as I catch up a little bit just now, teacher in Gen Z, you must try to be like patient, have a strong objective, and look at the content, because as the theory that you told is like the social, the community and family, or the environment is affect to the children in many aspects, even the behavior, the thinking, or the speaking in every aspect. And teacher not to be a content provider, but you have to be the facilitator, right?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much to Pizine.
Oh, I think you're mute.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. As I summarize a little bit summarize, okay, from me, teacher in Gen Z, you have to like being patient, have a strong objective, and when you teach, you have to look at the content and get to know the student, because of the theory that you told, like the social, community, family, and the environment are like affect to the children, yeah, in the speaking, the behavior, yes, and also teacher not to be a content provider, but you have to be the facilitator, right? Okay, thank you to Pizine that sharing the valuable information. I'm very happy to talk to you today. Okay, so now Pizine, you can take a small break because we will talk again in the in the concluding section. So if you guys, everyone here, if you guys have any question, you can write them in the chat. So we will see the later. We will answer later at the end of this section. Okay. Okay. So thank you, Pizine, again. Okay. Now let's move to the next presenter. Okay. This person is also my teacher.